Namaste. So I want to say a few words about why I'm involved with Śrī Vidyā. If you've been following this channel, which I guess a few people have, you would know that I've been through a wide variety of different studies. I mean, in my youth, I was a Christian, and then I got into material science, yoga, ordinary yoga, hatha yoga, and like that, Chinese martial arts, Gurdjieff, and later on I found my Adi Guru, and I joined the Krishna consciousness movement, and then I became a guru in that movement, and then I quit. I was with Osho Rajneesh for a while. I had a huge enlightenment experience after being 6 months with him in Oregon. And then I didn't understand it, so I went on to study existentialism and Buddha's teaching. And then finally, I wound up with Śrī Vidyā. Why? Because, see, most people approach a spiritual path in order to get somewhere, in order to be something, It's a path. It goes from A to B, right? See, but in my view, that's backwards. In my view, I searched out these different teachings and disciplines in order to understand my experience. I was already experiencing these things, and I was trying to find the explanation. What does it mean? What are these experiences? Because I didn't know, and there was no referent in ordinary knowledge to explain my experiences. So I had to dig deeper, and I looked under every rock, I'll tell you, until I found Śrī Vidyā. And the wonderful advantage that Śrī Vidyā gives is that it explains and accommodates and supports and validates every other spiritual path and discipline I've ever encountered. Well, that's a wonderful thing right there. Every teaching, every scripture, every meditation method, every sadhana, and every realization that I've ever had fits neatly somewhere within the context of Śrī Vidyā. Even my radical tantra experiences and all are just part of Śrī Vidyā. Normal, natural, accepted part of Śrī Vidyā, going back thousands of years before any other teachings. Most of the teachings that we have today are of fairly modern origin. And the reason for that, I suppose, is that as society changes over time, people become unable to understand the older teachings. But if we look back to the earliest Vedic teachings in the Upanishads, we find that the foundation for Śrī Vidyā is already there. And if we study the Śrī Vidyā scriptures, such as the Lalita Sahasranam, we find the language is very ancient. Not earlier than Upanishads, but certainly much earlier than the Puranas. And what to speak of Mahabharata, which is a very modern scripture, probably no more than 1,000, 1,200 years old. So, as we look at the whole context of spirituality, we find that the categories, and I've been presenting again and again the four views, Chatur Darshanam, given by Shankaracharya, are a huge context that fits everything. Every spiritual path, every realization, every transformation that I've experienced in my life fits somewhere on that scale. So, for me, it feels natural. Huh? It gives me a way to express what I've been through. It's not a roadmap for my further exploration. Huh? That's coming from inside. In other words, I'm not looking for a direction from outside. I'm looking for something that can mirror, that can explain my inner experience. So this is a little bit different approach than most people take. I know. I'm always going to be the odd man out in any group of people because I look at life completely differently. It's been that way since I was a kid, so I'm not complaining. But in my experience, other people come to these spiritual paths and they look at them in a completely different light. They want a roadmap. They want a guide. They want a path. They want to go somewhere. They want to arrive someplace. Or at least they want something to follow that will give them some kind of result. Well, from my viewpoint, the result is already attained. See, from where I sit, it's a pathless path, the gateless gate. See? But because other people need that guidance, so I searched and searched and searched. And once I understood my own condition, then I had a language. I had a framework with which I could explain that to others as well. So, not that I feel that my work is done. This kind of work could go on forever. There's always going to be a huge supply of people who don't get it, who want enlightenment but don't know how to attain it, or who don't know how to realize their actual state, their actual nature. But there comes a point where I have to take time to work on myself. So I'm at that point right now. The next few days, Mars is going to go into Aries, and it's going to be aspecting my natal Jupiter and transiting Jupiter and my natal Mars. So it's going to be a huge opportunity for me to make a great deal of advancement, not in my spiritual realization, but in my quality of life. You see, that's another question people ask. Well, if you're already self-realized, why do you worship the goddess? Why do you go through all these rituals and stuff? You're not getting any benefit from it spiritually. And I say, no, I don't need that. I already got that. But it makes a big difference in the quality of my life. You see? Because I don't have associates, except for my sannyas guru, and he just passed away. I don't have other people in my life, except for Michael McClure, who's in Australia, way far away. I don't have people in my life who get it, you know? So I'm thrown back on my own resources, and I have to discover the partner within. This is all, I don't know, it's so esoteric. I don't know how anybody could understand it. Because you have to experience it. Only then you can understand. And most people aren't willing or able to do the work to get that experience. I was. And I arranged my life in such a way that I eliminated all the distractions and basically put myself in a position where that's all there was to do. And so it happened. And after it happened, the Enlightenment happened, I spent the next 30 years trying to figure out what the heck happened. Because I didn't have a background, you see. After being a Christian, growing up in a Christian family, and then being in ISKCON and the Hare Krishna movement, I didn't have the background. I didn't have the language. I didn't have the concepts to understand actual self-realization. But it's there in my chart. I have several, not just one, but several moksha karakas in my chart, meaning that this life is the last lifetime. I get moksha, I get enlightenment, I get all that stuff basically free. It just comes to me. Yeah, I do sadhana and I do all that stuff, but it's already a foregone conclusion that I'll get the result, the realization. So this will happen whether I understand it or not. I already paid for it. I already bought my ticket. You understand? In previous lives. I did the sadhana to qualify, to get the adhikar. See? And I was born to a mother who was a practicing tantrika. I mean, how rare is that? So in this life, so many things have just come to me. And so much opportunity for self-realization that, of course, I took advantage of it and I got the result. So what I'm leading up to here is that it doesn't really serve me to keep making videos that people don't understand. I'm about halfway through the Ontology of Shakti series. I've still got more material to present. But is anybody going to get it? You know? Michael gets it. Michael McClure. You know, if you want somebody to discuss all this stuff with, you should contact him. But it's unrewarding for me, you know, to just keep slogging away, making these videos, doing quality work, and nobody gets it. Yeah, so I'm going to take a vacation from all this. Like I said, it's an unusual astrological opportunity that's coming in the next month or so. I want to take full advantage of it. So I'm going to take a vacation, a hiatus from making these videos. Maybe I'll take it up again later. I don't know. Let's see how I feel about it. You know, I just keep getting these comments from people that are like so off. They are not getting it, you know. And especially those who belong to sectarian cults, you know, who have an investment in getting it wrong. I mean, it's not worth my while to deal with these people. So whenever they make their stupid comments, I just cut them off. I just block them. I don't even read them, you know. I can see from the first few words where it's going, and it's like, okay, block. So, and then there's all these other people who, like, haven't shown me that they understand. So, what conclusion can I draw? The benefit of doing this work, for me, is, again, it's like a charity. It's like karma yoga. It gives me good karma. It increases my quality of life. You know, but I have other ways to do that. There are plenty of needy people in the world. See, according to the, not Bhairav Vigyan Tantra, what is that? Well, there's another Shaivite scripture. In the very last couple of verses, Lord Shiva says, love your enemies. Why? because they take your karma. The people who speak against you, the people who criticize you, the people who slander you and make up stories about you, the people who gossip about you and spread false rumors, they're taking your karma. Try to understand. They're, for themselves, they're creating bad karma for the future. But for you, they're taking away your karma, good and bad. And the other people who take your karma are the people that you feed. And there are plenty of people around where I live who can use food and like that. And then there's a third class, the animals. The animals who take the remnants of food. You know, when we cook, we create so much food waste. And when we distribute that to the animals take our karma. So those three groups, the enemies, the people that we feed, and the animals that we feed, take our karma away from us. That's why keeping cows is so noble, you see? Why it's a religious thing. Killing cows is horrible sin. Oof. So one should not endanger oneself by speaking ill of a self-realized person. One should not criticize them. One should try to understand them. Try to put the question to oneself, well, what if he's right? What if this is true? That's the attitude of a disciple. And not a disciple of anybody in particular, but just a person who is ready to learn. A person who's ready to learn approaches a teaching with this attitude. Well, this is really far out. What if it's true? What would be the implications of that? What is the meaning of that? How could I implement that? What benefits would it give? What insights would it offer? See, inquiry, Atma Vijnana. Okay? So one should look into all these things. I'm spending my time here mentioning all these things, and it's all based in Shastra. You've seen it. I'm quoting from Shastra. So we have to finish up here because I'm low on battery. I don't know why. I've got it hooked up to a thing here. But anyway, take this time out to go back over the videos and watch them again and try to understand them with this attitude of a disciple. That will give you some real progress in spiritual life. Om Tat Sat. Om Harihi Om.